All righty. Well, let's welcome Jeff to the podcast. Jeff Rising. He's up in Adrian, Michigan.
How are you doing today, Mario?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. The last time we talked, you were a realtor, and now you're a managing broker, a broker owner. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. About 1 year. It's actually 1 year ago, October, that I opened up my own RE/MAX franchise. It's been really good so far. So I'm really looking forward to what the future brings.
Yeah, that's great. So how many people do you have in your office now?
Right now, there's 5 of us total, so me plus 4, and always recruiting. So
Well,
always looking. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think that's really good. I mean, considering where you were, by yourself, and now you're building your own company, and you've got ownership. So, congratulations.
All right, thank you.
So let's jump into your 3 tips. I know kind of what you want to talk about, so I'm pretty excited to hear what you have to say. So we'll go into your tip number 1.
Okay, sure. When you brought up the subject of find 3 tips for success in real estate, and of course, my first thought is to always go to social media because I do great with social media. I get a lot of business from Facebook. So that'll be one of my tips today, but I didn't want to do all 3 tips on social media. So I thought for the last few days, what are 3 things I can think of that I feel have made me successful in this business over the long term? I mean, I've been in the business 14 years. So what kind of things do I think I could tell a new or experienced realtor or broker of what they could do? So tip number 1, I think, is to always be professional. Too many times in this business, a realtor will put their own emotions into the transaction. They'll make decisions for their buyer client or seller client without even consulting them. They might have a repair that comes up from an inspection and the seller might refuse to do it, and they get mad at the seller or the other agent on the other end of the deal. So we always need to remember that we need to represent our clients to the best of our ability. They look to us to be the professional ones, to be calm and collected and analytical in those situations. So I think it's best just to always be professional, always keep your emotions in check, be professional on social media. Eyes are everywhere. There's always people looking at your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, whatever. So my rule of thumb is always, do not, especially in your personal Facebook page, if you don't want people to see it, then don't make it public. Make it private. Do not, be Facebook friends with your clients, especially if you like to talk about politics or your religion or things like that. Especially with religion, if you talk too much about it online, that's great, but that could be a fair housing issue. What if someone feels alienated because they're a different religion than you are, and you're on Facebook or wherever talking about what your beliefs are? So I think if to stay professional and to keep those things off of the public view are the best for a realtor. Or like I said, if you're going to talk about those things in your public Facebook profile, to make sure your Facebook page is locked down to not be shared. Only your friends can see it, and be careful of who you invite to be your Facebook friends. And third, back to keeping your emotions in check. Every time, sometimes we've gotten those emails where a deal's falling apart or this is going on or that's going on. So it's really easy to react instantly. And sometimes that's a bad idea. So another rule I like to follow is if you get bad news about an offer, if you get a nasty email from another realtor, if you get a nasty email from a client, just take deep breaths, wait 10 or 15 seconds before you reply, or just set it aside and wait 5 or 10 minutes before you reply, because when you instantly reply to something that makes you mad, you can't take it back. Once that email is sent, it's over. So if you have some bad news and things, set it aside. Get up, walk around your office, walk around the building, do whatever you got to do to cool down before you answer that email. So that would be my first tip, is just to be professional and be calm and keep your emotions in check.
So I think that's really good. So I just want to dig in a little bit about what you said initially about, don't make decisions for your clients. And why do you think realtors kind of fall into that trap where they want to make a decision for their buyer, for their seller? And, I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I'm kind of curious why you think, we, in general, we try to do that.
I think a lot of people think that that's their job. When, say, for example, I'm representing a seller client, and the buyer's agent and the buyer do their home inspection, they come back with some repair they need done or want done. It might not necessarily be even a lender required repair. Maybe it's just something they want fixed. And I can immediately react and say, no, that's the price we agreed to is the price of the house. It's the as-is condition. No way is my seller going to make that repair. But if I just wait, if I go back to my seller client and say, hey, they want some of this wood trim around the front door scraped and painted. Will you do that? And they might say, sure, no problem. We'll do it this weekend. But I don't know until I ask them. I can't make that decision for them, because if I would have replied back to that buyer's agent and said, there's no way my seller's going to do that. Well, what if that caused that buyer to walk away? Now I just killed the deal without even consulting my seller client. Now they're going to ask me, well, why did the buyer walk away? Well, now I have to tell them, well, I know I have egg on my face because, obviously they could have done the repair pretty easily, but I made that decision without even consulting them.
Right.
I think it's a matter of, we feel like we're protecting them when we do those kind of things, but in fact, we're not. We could potentially jeopardize the entire transaction.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think the other component is that we have a tendency to protect the deal. Mm-hmm. So, if somebody says, I want a list of 15 items, and you're representing the seller on an inspection, your first reaction is like, there's no way they're going to do that. Why are you asking that,
Right.
And you're thinking that you want to protect the deal rather than represent your client.
Right.
Present them what the issues are, like you said, and then let them make the decision. And then the great thing about that is that then you're off the hook.
Right.
Because if they decide they don't want to do the 10 items, it's their decision. It's not yours.
Right. See, and our job is ultimately when we present that addendum for repair request to our seller client, and whatever decision they make, then it's our job to negotiate on their behalf. They might say, yes, we'll do them all, or we'll do 5 of them, or we'll do none of them. And once we get that answer from them, then we can go back and say, hey, the negotiated price is the as-is sales price. There's 5 of these repair items that are safety issues, and they're fine doing those, but those other 5 are just cosmetic, and they're not doing those. And then it's our job at that point to go back to the negotiation mode and do those things for our client.
Right. And then the other side also works if you're representing a buyer, and the buyer has they want a list of 15 items. It's our responsibility to do what they want to do. Right.
You have to go to bat for your client. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know some agents will say, well, you can't present 15 items. You got to just do 5.
Right.
And you can't say that because, again, you're making the decision for them before you even present it to the seller. Is that something that you kind of coach your agents too about?
Yeah, ultimately it's the client's decision what they want to do. You're there to guide them, but not make decisions for them.
Well, that's good advice. I like that tip.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to your tip number 2.
All right, number 2. One thing I should have done, and a lot of successful realtors and brokers say this, I should have hired an assistant probably about a year before I did. And I'm in the same boat. I was closing between 40 and 50 transactions a year just by myself. I didn't have anybody working for me. I didn't have any assistant doing, my listing input or, my expired packets or anything like that for me. So when I finally did hire an assistant, I literally almost doubled my business the following year.
Wow.
So it's very important. I think if you're a realtor, in the I'm not talking about the volume as far as dollar volume because, that varies around the country, but I'll just do it by transactions. I feel if you're doing between 3 or 4 or more transactions a month, you probably need an assistant, either part-time or full-time. Now, one of the things that helped me to hire an assistant, because I was mostly nervous about, well, what about the weeks where I don't close something and then I still have to pay them? Well, I found someone who was qualified that was willing to work on a commission basis. Basically, I offered her 15% of my earned commission. So whatever I made, she was going to get 15%. So what I did is I looked at the previous year. I looked at what I made. I told her what 15% was going to be. She agreed to that. It was about $15,000 to $17,000, I think. It was going to be a part-time position, so she was happy with that. But when I doubled my business the following year because I had an assistant, she really made $30,000 instead of the $15,000 that she thought she was going to make. So it was a win-win for everybody. Your job as the realtor is to be out there showing homes, prospecting, and listing homes. That's it. Everything else someone else can do. So putting the listing paperwork in, taking the pictures of the house, managing I do a lot of expired and for sale by owner marketing. So I put together a 6-letter system that I do for that. And I'm not sitting down every morning and saying, okay, what expired today? That's someone else's job to do that. Then you put them on the follow-up letter chain and then when they come in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that's their job to go say, okay, expired at 123 Main Street gets, letter number 4 this week. So that takes a lot of the busy work off of your plate where you can focus on what you're supposed to do, which is prospecting, showing homes, and listing homes.
Yeah, and I think for your market, you and I have talked before, so I'm familiar kind of with your business model. So your average sales price is anywhere between 40, 50, 60,000. Is that the average still, or has it gone up a little bit?
It's gone up. Our average sale price for our market right now is right around 95.
Oh, great.
And my average sale price for my business is about 125 so far this year. But when we're in Southeast Michigan, so we're hit pretty hard by the foreclosure crisis.
Right.
Property values dropped almost in half. About I would say 4 years ago, my average sales price was 45,000. You have to sell a lot of houses at that price range to make it.
Right. And I remember when we talked before about that. And I think there's 2 ways that we can make more money as realtors. Is we can increase our average sales price. So if we're doing 15 deals a year and our average sales price is 100, and if we can boost it up to 150, then we can make more money. But like in your market, it's a little bit harder to get that $600,000, $800,000 listing because that's just not there, right? So the option for you is, rather than increase your average sales price by a lot, you've got to increase your volume. So rather than doing 30 to 40 deals a year, you need to be doing 60 to 80. Right. And I'm just going through this because I've gotten emails and I've been in touch with a lot of realtors around the country where I've talked to some agents and their average sales price is like 900,000. And they're like, I can never make, money because my average sales price is 100. Right. But you're a great example where you can make good money based on developing a system, getting an assistant, like you said. And I know for me, I thought about hiring an assistant, and it's hard psychologically.
Right.
Over that.
You're right. So the biggest thing that was my hold up was like, what if, like I said, if I have someone counting on me to get a paycheck every week, what happens if I go 3 weeks without a closing? Well, I still have to pay them. When I came up with the idea to hire someone on a commission basis as an assistant, that totally opened the doors. It totally opened my eyes. Like I can have someone working for me. I don't have to give them a weekly paycheck. I just give them a paycheck every time I get a paycheck. And then they're going to be more motivated to help me grow my business because they're based on how much I make is how much they make. So
you're in it together. And so whoever that person is, he or she, they're motivated to help you, and they can make more money that way than you paying them, $10, $15 an hour.
Exactly.
That's good. Well, good for you. I'm glad you've taken that step.
Yeah, it's worked out. It's been 2 years now since I hired her, so it's worked out really well. We're actually looking at growing the team now and maybe hiring a buyer's agent full time and kind of expanding that way.
Well, great. Okay. All right. That's tip 2. So hire an assistant if you want to kind of scale your business a little bit more. So let's go to your number 3.
All right. Then tip number 3 does go back to social media. If you're advertising on Facebook, if you're marketing on Facebook, please get a business Facebook page. Stop holding your personal Facebook friends hostage for your listing posts. People are your personal Facebook page is your friends, colleagues, relatives, old classmates. They're there because they want to see about your life. They don't want to see new listing, 505 Boulder Drive, 1,000. You're putting people in a position to make them decide whether they want to unfriend you or not because they're tired of seeing your real estate posts. The advantage to having a business Facebook page for your real estate is people can like it or not like it. If they like it, they're there because they want to see that information. It's a captive audience. And I know there's a lot of realtors out there that have two separate personal Facebook pages. One might be the realtor Facebook page, and one might be their personal Facebook page, but they're both, in essence, personal Facebook pages. And that's fine if you have 2 separate one's for business, one's for for your personal life. But if you're using a personal Facebook profile as a business page, you can't track any of that information. You can't do boosted posts. You can't do targeted advertising. You can't increase your likes in your area. When you have a business Facebook page, things Facebook is doing these days with their targeted advertising, the demographics. If you started an ad campaign for a listing, you can do it within a 10-mile radius of your city, certain people, certain income levels. You can even pick behaviors, and one of the choices of behaviors on the Facebook ad campaign is people likely to move. And Facebook tracks those things by what they're looking at on Facebook. And they determine whether that person is likely to move or not. So you can actually target your listing post from your business Facebook page to those people that are likely to buy. It works great on listing appointments. When I do a promoted post for one of my listings on Facebook, it shows me the analytics are just like Google Analytics. 11,000 or 12,000 people saw this in their newsfeed. 2,000 people clicked on it to look at the photos. When I take those into listing appointments and say, here's what I do for marketing, that seals the deal every time. Some people walk in and say, oh, I hear I put your home in the real estate magazine every month. Well, great. How many people looked at that? I don't know. I just know that, they distribute 20,000 copies. I have no idea how many people looked at your listing. But if I go in there with a screenshot from my Facebook business page that here, this listing post I did had 20,000 views. I had 4,000 people clicked on it to look at the photos. They clicked through to my website to see the full listing. This is what I do for marketing. Here's the results. Here's the analytics, and I know it works.
Yeah, I've been following, what you do on Facebook, and I think the targeted advertising that you're talking about is very powerful. So do you do it primarily when you do a new listing, when you do an open house? How are you kind of setting that up?
Okay, so a couple different ways. When we do open houses, you can actually create a Facebook event from your Facebook page. So you just create an event. You can invite all your personal Facebook friends if you want. You can do a boosted post to your area to see if people will click on it, they're going or not. Of course, I do new listing posts, price reductions. In the ones that get the most activity, honestly, are when you post something that you sold. It gets a ton of likes. People love to be your cheerleader. When they see that you sold a house, they're like, yeah, they click, they like it, they share it. Putting up a picture of a sold listing with the clients with a sold sign or stuff like that. People love that stuff. They like to see you be successful. So when you're posting things like that, it increases your reach even further. So that's pretty much it. Solds, new listings, price reductions, open houses. Now I have two separate business Facebook pages, one for my personal real estate business and one for the brokerage here. So from the RE/MAX Main Street Realty brokerage Facebook page, I do, market news, things like that. I repost things from National Association of Realtors, what's going on in our local market, community events. I don't really post.
Okay, so we'll pick it up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so I do have two separate business Facebook pages, one for my personal real estate business for my listing and selling, and then I do have one for the brokerage under RE/MAX Main Street Realty. The one for my personal business, I do listing posts, price reductions, open houses, things like that, sold properties. For the brokerage Facebook page, I do mostly market statistics. I repost things from the National Association of Realtors. I put up posts about community events and things like that from the business Facebook page to the brokerage Facebook page. So I do keep the two things separate.
So do you see, you're getting a lot of visibility through Facebook, which is good. So have you connected with specific, new customers, buyers or sellers?
Yeah, I would say, the last time I checked, I think we're getting about 35 to 40% of our business is coming from Facebook.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And
I've been working my Facebook page since 2009, so it's got over 2,200 likes. And the good thing about Facebook with the insights and the analytics, you can go and see where your likes are coming from, and I can see that about 90% of the people that like my page are actually from my market area. It's not people from all over the world. So.
Yeah. Because I've done some ads before, and I get a lot of people liking me in India and Indonesia and Thailand and stuff. Right. It's like, come on. Right. So you're getting good quality, which I think is great.
Yeah. It really makes a difference if the people that like your page are from your market area, obviously. So, and when you do run an ad to promote your page to get more likes, you can also do the same thing. You can target it to your immediate market area and to certain age groups and things like that, or certain income levels. So Facebook really has it nailed down now with the advertising.
So did you kind of figure this out by yourself, or did you go get a resource, a book or a seminar, or have you just kind of rolled up your sleeves and done it by yourself?
Yeah, pretty much trial by error. When I first started my Facebook business page in 2009, you could do boosted posts or promoted posts, but it was really, you couldn't target it to anywhere. You couldn't target it to demographics. And somewhere around 2011, 2012 was when they made the change to where you could actually target to like a city or to a radius from a city or things like that. And, a couple of years later, they added the more demographics as far as the behaviors and income levels and those kind of things. So pretty much just trial by error over the years, working it and kind of looking at the ads. I do belong to the group called the paperlessagent.com. They're great at social media. It's a monthly fee for their coaching. And they provide you with tools for Facebook and social media and other things. So there's resources out there. Of course, Remax University, you can go on there and there's literally, dozens and dozens of videos on social media you can watch for free as part of being a Remax agent. So there's resources out there. You just have to, go on Google and find them.
Well, good. Okay, well, those are really, 3 good tips, and I think that's very helpful. So I do have a bonus question, like I mentioned. So, here we are. This is the middle of January, 2016. Mm-hmm. And so looking back at 2015, give me like your biggest accomplishment, something you feel really good about, either personally or business, something that you can look back and say, I did it.
Yeah, so 2014, we ended up doing about 72 transactions closed. So the goal for 2015 was 100 closed transaction sides. So obviously if I got both sides of the deal, I counted as 2. So to get there, what we did was just simply, do better tracking. We put up we went old school. We put up a whiteboard in the office and said, here's what our goal is. And we put up hash marks every time we had a closing. And, once it's in front of your face every day, that makes a big difference. A lot of people write down their goals, or they may, put them on a Google Doc or put them somewhere. But when you put your goals on paper and put it up on a whiteboard somewhere where you can see it every day to constantly remind you where you need to get, how you're going to get there, it really makes a difference. So I believe, like I said, just go old school, put up a whiteboard, write down what your goals are. So so your vision, some people do vision boards, of what their goals are, put it somewhere where you see it every day, and it really makes a difference as far as tracking and keeping track of where you're going and how you're getting there. If someone, I saw a coach a couple of weeks ago, and he said, if you track it, it gets done. So
yeah,
a lot of people in this business kind of go haphazardly. You could probably pull about 70% of realtors aside and say, hey, how many transactions have you had so far this year? And 70% of them probably want to know. Or how much gross commission income have you earned this year? 80% of them probably won't even know that. So it's really important, because when I started tracking my business and started tracking the commission dollars and started tracking the transactions, it does grow. It goes up. It's amazing how that works when you pay attention.
Well, that's good. Well, congratulations. And, I'm really happy with what you're doing there. Mm-hmm. You're building your own business. And so I have a lot of respect, because you're just kind of doing it yourself. And, so keep doing it.
All right. Thanks for inviting me to this. It's great watching you start from the Honest Real Estate Agent book that you sent to me several years ago to what you're doing now with the podcast and with the summit, and watching your career go in this path also. So good job to you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And you were one of the realtors in my book. Mm-hmm. So you and I have known each other for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks.
All right, thank you.